Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for being here. My name is Andrew, coming to you from beautiful Costa Rica. Tonight's topic is going to be installment number 2 of the What Is series. And tonight's episode is going to be What is a Boundary? Think about that for a minute. If you like the content, please subscribe. And guys, remember, if you want to have a one-on-one session with me, please drop an email at narcdailyvideos@gmail.com. There is a link in the description, I believe, about that. So, what is a boundary? Now, a boundary, you're taught boundaries when you're a young child, early on in life. You're taught right from wrong, what you can do and what you can't do. And when you have boundaries in place, this is what gives life structure. It actually makes the human race function and work properly. And digging down a little bit deeper, if you personally have boundaries, which I'm going to discuss in detail here, then that will benefit you navigating through this thing called life. Many people on the channel at one point or another did not have boundaries or solid boundaries or a good foundation of boundaries in their adult life. They didn't, because perhaps something happened to them when they were younger. Maybe there's some childhood trauma. Who knows what happened? But the point is, many of us at one point or another became a yes person or a people pleaser or someone that would drop what they were doing on a moment's notice and assist somebody, including complete strangers. Now, for those of us who have experienced the narcissistic relationship, we understand completely how we have been taken advantage of, and our kindness or our empathy has been used and weaponized against us. Why did this happen? I'll tell you why. Because whenever you met the narcissist, you were being manipulated and taken advantage of during the whole time in the narcissistic relationship, but you didn't know what narcissism was, so you weren't prepared to encounter this person. They knew this, they saw this, and they said, wow, I really want to get in a relationship with this person, which in this case was you, because you did not have boundaries, and you certainly were giving to a fault and contributing and working for the narcissist and working for the relationship. But now, post-narcissistic relationship, you understand that boundaries are imperative, and that many people on the planet actually do have boundaries, and that perhaps you were one of the people that didn't your whole life. Now, again, I'm not trying to trigger anybody, I'm just letting you know what is a boundary. A boundary, in simpler terms, let's say your house. If you live in a house or apartment or wherever, well, those 4 walls that encapsulate your apartment, those are your boundaries. That's your house, and the next one over is someone else's. And if you live in a house, you have a fence maybe up, and that separates or creates a boundary from your property to the next person's. Okay, we get all that. Now, a boundary is absolutely important that people utilize these for many different reasons. For the property, you need to understand, hey, that's my property, you can't step on my property, or whatever it is. Or the same thing in the workplace. If you work a 9-to-5 job and say you work in a cubicle or something, that's your little spot, that's where you work. Beautiful. Going back to the narcissistic relationship, the narcissist realized that you were not educated on narcissism, and that you would you would be subjected to their whims and their manipulation, let's put it that way. And during the relationship, you were fighting for the relationship, and you were working for the narcissist, unbeknownst to you. You just knew that the relationship wasn't improving. Maybe you weren't getting that pay raise, maybe you weren't getting the corner office and things like this, or maybe you weren't being respected, which is a huge one. The narcissist does not respect people. They only use and abuse people. But you didn't have boundaries. And then you realized after the relationship ended, the boundaries, if you really took a look around, you'll notice that many people do have boundaries. And many people actually break other people's boundaries, such as the narcissist. But what we do now is we utilize this skill, this tool of coming through the fire of the narcissistic relationship, and now we create boundaries that benefit us. So examples of boundaries that you may want to utilize are if anybody, it doesn't have to be the narcissist, but if anybody is texting you, consuming your time, or calling you just randomly, like when they need help, like, hey, I need a ride to the store. Can you give me a ride to the store? And you're like, yeah, sure, but I just met you last week. Like really? What is this? But if you're used to saying yes because you want to be a people pleaser and you want to accommodate everybody, you will probably in the past have said, yeah, sure, I'll give you a ride, no problem, let's do it. And you would drop what you were doing to accommodate or help other people. Now this is not acceptable any longer, now that we understand that our time is extremely valuable and that people have been consuming our energy virtually our whole lives. People that don't matter to us. Now that's not being mean, but just toxic people, or people that don't reciprocate, people that don't have your best interest at heart, which is a whole different video. Bear in mind, most people don't want to see you succeed. They sincerely don't. And it's not until after post-narcissistic relationship that you understand this, that wow, there are actually people on this planet that are the exact opposite of me. They do want to destroy people. They do want to take. They do not want to contribute. Basically, they're selfish, they're cowards, and they're bullies. And that's the narcissist in a clear, concise definition. But these people do exist, because no longer can we walk around with our rose-colored glasses on, or tinted glasses, whatever that expression is, believing that everybody has our best interest at heart and that we need to help everybody out. Number one, you can't help everybody out. Number two, you shouldn't want to help everybody out, because you need to have your cup full and you need to take care of yourself first as the priority. In the past, before you even knew what boundaries were and actually understood the message of how important it is to have, create, adhere to, and develop boundaries, you were giving, you were helping everybody, you were doing the best to, maybe just to keep the peace, or maybe because you could, or maybe because your resources allowed you to. But each and every time you contributed to a one-way relationship, maybe it was a narcissistic relationship, maybe it was that neighbor who just always asks you to do things and counts on you to do things, and they're never there for you. These kind of relationships, they don't benefit you. What they do is they consume your time, and they absolutely consume your resources. So again, picture yourself on a hot summer day. You're cutting the grass, and you're having fun. Just you're relaxing. You're on a ride mower, whatever those things are, so you're not really working that much. But you're just driving around, cutting the grass. You have a lemonade iced tea there, and you're just enjoying the day. And then the neighbor comes over, hey, can I borrow these tools? I need this, this, and this. And you're like, yeah, sure, but I'm cutting the grass. Can't you see I'm cutting the grass? And they're like, well, I really need them. So in the past, maybe you would have stopped what you're doing to accommodate them. I'm suggesting don't do that. I'm suggesting live your best life, do what you want to, and in time, if you find time, lend that person the tools. It's simple, but you don't drop what you're doing any longer to accommodate people, of course, unless it's an emergency. We get that. But these are necessary boundaries you need to put in place. The same thing with the person that's consuming your time, like I mentioned. If they're consuming your time, texting you and calling you and asking you for rides and things like this, don't be afraid. Block them, delete them, put them on mute. Do what you have to do, but regain your boundaries and utilize them, and understand that no one is going to put a boundary in place for you other than you. They just won't. And many people will try to take advantage of you. Many people will try and guilt trip you, or say, hey, you can do this. I know you can. You've done it before, like loaning money, things like that. No. Say no. Remember, no is a complete sentence. When you say no to something, you're saying yes to yourself. And that allows you more time. And that allows you peace of mind. And you don't need to explain anything to anybody ever. You just don't. So, whereas in the past, we did contribute and we did help out virtually everybody we possibly could have, perhaps, once we get through the narcissistic relationship, we understand how we were abused, used, manipulated, and actually thrown away like a piece of trash. Once we understand that, no, we get the education and we have boundaries in place. And boundaries are other things post-narcissistic relationship. Let's say that, for example, there's an event coming up, and it's coming up in a week or two, who knows? And you think that the narcissist, bear in mind, let's say you live in a small community, you think the narcissist may be attending. Well, you can either A, not go, and then the narcissist may or may not go, but if you don't go, you don't get to enjoy the event, or you can have a boundary. Remember, this is post-narcissistic relationship. It's well when you're on the healing path. But the other thing is you can go and take your power back and have a boundary and say, yeah, I'm gonna go. I don't really care if the narcissist is there. I'm just gonna go gray rock and let them do whatever they do. They're just gonna, that's it. See, that's called having a boundary and taking back control of your situation. Not thinking too much about the narcissist, not thinking about, will they be there, aren't they gonna be there? I'm not sure, I don't know. I understand what I just mentioned to you could be difficult. It really can. But the whole idea is you need to live your best life, and you need to do what you want to do, when you want to do it, with whom you want to do it. Other ways to put boundaries in are, remember, you can always understand if the relationship is not reciprocal, meaning the person is not giving you energy back, they're not listening to you, they're not there for you. It's a one-way relationship, just fade them out. There are 8 billion people on the planet. You don't need Just because you've been a friend of somebody's for X number of years doesn't mean you need to maintain that relationship. I'm not suggesting to end relationships. I'm saying that if it's not a two-way street, understand boundaries. You need to have these. You need to practice these. You need to utilize these. Another one in the workplace. The company says, hey, I need you to work this Saturday. And you're like, well, what's going on? Oh, it's a big event. We have to do this, this, this. Okay, well, that sounds great, but am I going to get next Tuesday off or next Monday? Or how am I going to be compensated? In other words, don't just volunteer or don't just take whatever the company says you need to do this. There's a good chance you don't need to do it, and they're just trying to bully their way into getting you to do what they want you to do. So stand up for yourself, have a boundary. Now, again, I'm not suggesting confrontation or any issues, not that at all. I'm just saying the more awakened and aware we all become, and the more we understand exactly how valuable we are on this planet, we can put boundaries in place. And if you've come through the narcissistic abusive cycle, you understand exactly what I'm talking about. You need boundaries. One of the most basic boundaries post-relationship is blocking, going no contact, deleting flying monkeys, and anyone associated with the narcissist. Yeah, it's difficult to do, but when you do it, and you will, that's a massive boundary. That's huge, and it benefits you every way possible. Because the last thing you want is, let's say, a mutual friend who knows that you and the narcissist are no longer communicating. Maybe one day they just say, hey, let's go grab a cup of coffee, and it's innocent. They don't even know what they're doing. And then they sit down and they bring up the narcissist's name, and you're like, and they give you information about the narcissist. And you're like, I don't need to hear that. Like, what is going on here? And they're like, oh, sorry, I didn't know. And this is legit. They really didn't know. But the point is, why take that chance? You don't want to take that chance because you were doing so well on the healing path, and you probably still are. But even hearing people's names can be a trigger. You don't want to know what they're doing. You don't care about what they're doing at all. And boundaries are necessary. That's why I suggest to remove people you have in common with the narcissist. Make it a clean break. Done. Goodbye. And it should, I understand some of these relationships are difficult to do, but the whole idea is to benefit yourself, to have boundaries in place for yourself, to protect yourself, to insulate yourself, not just from the narcissist, but from people everywhere. You're on an airplane, someone is behaving poorly, and you're sitting right next to them. Maybe in the past you would have tolerated it. Now you get the stewardess and say, hey, can you please help me out with this person? They're really being belligerent. I'm trying to get some sleep here, or whatever I'm doing. Things like that. Or can I please relocate? I don't want to be around this toxic energy. Things like that. These are boundaries. What it means is standing up for yourself and doing what is right that benefits you. That's what we want. So what is a boundary? It's anything that you put in place that benefits you and inhibits another person from stealing your energy or being toxic and abusing or using or manipulating you. That's what it is. It's kind of a rough definition of it, but it's exactly what it is. Boundaries are vital. You need to learn to say the word no, and don't explain to anybody when you say the word no. Just no means no. It's a complete sentence. No. So guys, that is what a boundary is. Please understand and utilize these. They are important. You need to have these navigating through life. They're instrumental. Many people have always had boundaries, and that's great. God bless them. Many people have not, such as some people here on the channel, including myself. But now we have them, and now we understand how valuable our time is, and we utilize these. And you don't feel guilty about having a boundary. No, that's the old version of you. The new, improved 1,000 times X version of you has a boundary, doesn't explain anything, and just moves forward. That's what you do. That's the path. Guys, I hope you liked the video. Everyone, so I'm not saying the word guys anymore. Everyone, I hope you liked the video. I loved doing it from beautiful Costa Rica. This is Andrew. Namaste. Have a great evening. Stay blessed. Stay true. Maintain, grow, adhere, and develop your boundaries. Understand these are vital. They're absolutely instrumental to have these. Use them and use them often. I love you so much. I can't even explain. Have a great evening, and wherever you're located, remember, you are not alone. You are not alone. Continue to move forward. Continue to work, to grow, to teach if you can, and become the best version of yourself. God bless you. I'll talk to you tomorrow. All right. Good night.